Well, hello and welcome to the second recording or second video for our first week of class. I hope you've been enjoying the material so far and that you're beginning to get excited about the prospects of your new franchise. Today we're going to look at the quest for value. And it's so significant when we're looking at whether or not our customers are going to be coming to us or choosing the competition. Perceived value from a customer's perspective is basically the difference between the value collection that they receive minus their perceived costs. We want to remember there are multivariables to both value and cost, and we're going to look at each of these. Value isn't static, and that's one of the reasons it's so challenging as a franchisor to stay at the leading edge of our value proposition. We know that customers will change what they think of as value. For example, on a sunny, bright day, the value of an umbrella is pretty low. Maybe you're going to use it for shade, but possibly you'll just leave it in the back of the car. On a day when it's storming outside and you need to get from point A to point B, the value of an umbrella goes way up. We see the same sort of thing with many of our value propositions. The other thing is that we know that our competitors are changing their offerings. So we're looking at a very dynamic value offering that changes on a very regular, daily, or even hourly basis. There are really 5 different components to value, or at least we can categorize them into 5 different components. They include things like functional value, where we look at the function or performance. For example, the umbrella would work as when it was shading us or keeping us from getting wet. That's a function that it was providing for us. There's the social value. That might be something like choosing to wear a brand name product because, you know, what our peers think of us as a function of wearing the brand name or the image that's associated with that. There's the emotional value. Maybe we get something that makes us feel all warm and fuzzy, like a dozen red roses on Valentine's Day. The epistemic value, which is the novelty. So maybe you want to hang a fish on the wall that talks and wiggles, as we see occasionally advertised. Or the pet rock, which, if any of you are old enough to remember pet rocks, where people were actually purchasing little rocks in a box. And again, that would certainly be a novelty, not necessarily something many of us would have considered to have a significant value prior to the offering. And then, of course, the conditional value, which tends to look at the context, whether it's social or physical. So if we look back at our umbrella example, it actually had 2 values. Or it had the functional value when it was raining within a given context, which is the rain. So again, there are different ways to look and measure value and what it brings to a customer. We want to realize that oftentimes there's some component of each of these. It's not a one-element assessment. To offset customer value, we need to recognize that customers have a perception of cost. And that cost could be things in terms of monetary, time, and psychic costs. So maybe we paid $5 for the umbrella. Maybe we had to run to a department store to purchase it. And sometimes there might be psychic costs. We were caught in traffic that we hadn't expected, and by the time we got our umbrella and got home, we were just frustrated. Again, the value proposition changes all the time. Something that we want to recognize is as we're trying to maximize the value delivered to a customer is that we want to make sure we're addressing the segmentation or market segmentation. For example, things like geographic, demographic, psychographic, and purchasing behavior can all change depending on the specific customer. Oftentimes we can categorize our customers into various groups and address their collective needs. We might adjust our marketing to reach a particular group, to highlight an element that's most important to them, and that might change from segmentation group to segmentation group. Something we always want to be very open to is hearing the voice of the customer. By us being able to collect feedback and listen to what they're saying, and frankly anymore that's becoming easier and easier to do, whether we're looking at things like blogs on the internet or giving them customer surveys to fill out, or checking the little Twitter accounts, or what they might have written on our Facebook account. The information is out there. We just need to make sure we're reaching out to it, collecting it, analyzing it, and doing something about it. Okay? The elements that we look at in regards to customer value include things like trying to create a lifetime value. Certainly we want customers to keep coming back to us. It's much more expensive as a general rule to get new customers than to keep our current customers happy. So with that thought in mind, we really want to prioritize the service and our ability to hear what our current customers are telling us. We want to make sure we're computing what that lifetime value is, because at some point, remember, some customers have different values than others. A customer that always comes in and buys off of our dollar menu might have less value to us than a customer that comes in and just lives it up. And we want to recognize that we want to provide service at some level that reflects the purchasing power or customer value that that particular customer brings. That's not to say we treat some customers poorly, but that we just can't offer as much to a customer that does very little business with us, particularly when we're having to choose between our high customer value and the lower customer value. We want to make sure we're correlating our services appropriately. We want to build expertise. So if we know that a customer values certain aspects of our firm, we want to make sure we're the best at that. And then literally make those adjustments based on some of the segmentation that we're looking at. So let's take a peek and just look at the flow chart that illustrates creating customer value. Okay. And I'm going to need my glasses here as we walk through this. So you want to be developing customer relationships. In order to do that, sometimes we're going to look at customer loyalty programs. We see air programs doing this very effectively. Oftentimes we can get our customers building word-of-mouth referrals. And again, with today's Facebooks and Twitters and stuff, that becomes easier and easier for the customer to do. We want to recognize that not only is it easy for them to build a positive referral, but we often see that it's just as easy to build a negative. So if they had a bad experience, that's going to get out as well. And sadly, we typically see that customers are more willing to share the bad experiences than the good ones. In fact, usually at a rate of about 3 to 1. So we want to make sure we're not alienating or creating a dissatisfied customer. We are looking to try to build return sales, because over the long run that's going to lower our costs. New customers will continue to build our business, and ultimately if we can keep new customers coming in, old customers coming back, we're going to end up building our business and really the equity within our business. Within that, we could do things like incorporate data into a customer relations and management file, collecting information on our customers, maybe reaching out to them with email, allowing them or encouraging them to join us on Facebook, are all excellent ways to help build that relationship. So I hope you've taken something from this little lecture. Again, it's intended to review what you're reading about in your text material. So please be sure you're reading thoroughly, join us for the audio lectures, and then go to the video chat board where you can discuss some of these concepts with your peers. You have a great day, and we'll see you for the next segment. Thank you.